Hello. Hey, friends. All right, so this is a live that is probably going to lose me some friends. This is a live that probably not everyone is going to be on board with, and I have things to say about that. So, I have been pretty silent the last several days about everything that's happening right now in America. And, I was feeling really guilty about the fact that I've been pretty silent about everything that's been going on. I was feeling guilty. I was feeling sad. Honestly, I have a lot of things that I want to say. I have a lot of things that I want to say, and I'm going to try to say all of them. But what I want you to understand is if you're struggling, if you haven't said anything, if you don't know what to say, I've talked to a lot of people who are like, I don't know what to say about everything that's happening, and that's okay. I don't want you to feel guilty about that. But I've realized some things over the past couple of days. Here's what I could say. I don't know where you stand on what's going on right now, but I can tell you that we might not be on the same side of things, and that's okay. I love you anyway, and I truly believe that if we are going to get better as a country, as a society, and in the world, we have to be okay that sometimes people don't understand where we're coming from, and we have to be kind to them and try and help them to understand, right? Sometimes people aren't going to get it, and it's not their fault. It's something that we have been taught. It's something that we have been conditioned. It doesn't make it okay. But I waited to say anything about what's going on, not because I don't care, but I'll tell you this. I got into a fight with my own sister for accusing me of not caring because I haven't said anything. You want to know the truth? I've been crying about what's been happening. I've been yelling at Matt, angry about it, trying to get out my feelings about what's been happening. I didn't want to go live or to share with you guys because I take my platform seriously. I grow my business through this page. I love you guys. I know I have a lot of people that tune into my videos and that read my posts, and I didn't want to post in anger. I didn't want to post, irrationally and not be able to actually help people. That's what hate does. It separates people. My own sister is angry enough at me for not posting, but we're on the same side. It doesn't make sense, right? So I wanted to take a deep breath, and I wanted to find out what I needed to say, and I wanted to pray about it. And so after talking about it a lot, I have a lot of things I want to say. It's not okay. It's not okay that there are people in our country that are afraid to be who they are. It's not okay. It's not okay that there are people like me and you who are privileged and don't realize it, right? And are too afraid to talk about or look at the problems in our country. Do you know what racism is? Or sexism, or homophobia, or all these things where we are dividing people by this class, or these characteristics, or a different gene. All it is fear. And also it's like the car accident we don't want to look at, right? When there's a car accident, we always want to look. This is the one that we've all been trying not to look at. This is the one that everyone has been trying to pretend isn't there. But it always has been. And you might not know this about me, and I'm gonna lose some friends today over this, I'm sure. But when I was in high school, I worked together with some of the kids in my class to start a gay-straight alliance at my high school because equality has always mattered to me. Human rights have always mattered to me. People feeling like they are enough, regardless of who they are or who they love or what the color of their skin is, will always matter to me. And if it doesn't matter to you, then we are not the same. Because you can't, to me, you can't say you care about people, but only some. You can't say you care about people feeling happy or loved or safe if you don't stand up for all people, not just the ones that look like you or think like you. You know, I disagree with a lot of people about what they believe is okay, about the things that they say about other people, but I still don't hate them. I try to love them. I try to help them by helping them shift their perspective from one that is hurtful to other people to one that is helpful. But last I checked, standing on opposite sides of the room yelling at the other person doesn't change shit. Guys, it doesn't change anything to point your finger and talk about who the problem is. If you want to make a change, you have to be the solution, and that means loving all people. You cannot contribute more hate if that's the thing you're trying to eradicate or you want there to be less of, okay? But here's what I have to say. For the people posting memes like, oh, Martin Luther King didn't cause riots, Martin Luther King didn't, first of all, that's not true. A lot of Martin Luther King's, you know, peaceful get-togethers, whatever you want to call them, they ended in riots. A lot of them. Did you know that? He was a peaceful man. He talked about peace. He talked about doing things in a way that everyone felt accepted and loved. Did you know that a lot of those same situations that everyone's complaining about on social media now ended with tear gas and fights and violence that was not caused by him, right? So all the people posting things like, oh, you know, it's so awful that this man died, but the violence needs to stop. I need you to realize that that statement is wrong. The correct statement would be, he did not have to die. He did not have to die. And I understand why people are angry. Or the correct statement would be, it's awful that there is violence happening and looting, but he did not deserve to die. That's the correct thing to say. If you have posted about how you are unhappy about the things going on in the country, but you haven't posted about a man who was murdered and it was videotaped, and you are more concerned with the fact that people are outraged about it than you are with the fact that it happened, that's a problem. That's what I think. And I say it with love, but I need you to realize that that perception isn't okay. And you know what else is a problem? The freaking Martin Luther King memes going around like, oh, he didn't cause it. He didn't cause riots, he didn't cause looting, whatever else. Actually, he did, not on purpose, and he still got shot. It's interesting, isn't it? It's interesting how we are pointing our fingers at black people and blaming them for what's happening in the country. When, did you guys know that there are white supremacists hijacking peaceful get-togethers where people are just trying to mourn the death of someone who was killed, who was murdered unjustly? And there are white supremacists hijacking those meetings and causing violence and then blaming black people. Do you not realize how fucked up that is? And if you are one of those people who is just assuming without doing any research or educating yourself that it's all them causing the problem, then you need to realize that right there is ingrained racism. Guys, it's hard to talk about these things because they're uncomfortable and because people want to be positive. But guys, it's actually incredibly negative to not be willing to look at a problem and try and find or be a solution. It is incredibly negative to hide behind what's comfortable for you. Incredibly. It is positive and powerful and brave to say that is a problem and it needs to be fixed. And it doesn't mean that you have to use your voice like this. It doesn't mean you need to go live. It doesn't mean you need to make a long post. This is actually what it means. You don't need to feel guilty if you haven't had the words, because I didn't have the words. I didn't know what I wanted to say because there's so damn much. I told Matt I'll be on a live video for the rest of my life. Like, I get really fired up about these things. So my sister getting mad at me that I haven't posted, it's not because I don't care. So I don't want you to think that I believe that. And that all the people saying things like, oh, well, your silence is deafening and your silence means you support the oppressor. I don't believe that. But what I do believe is it's not about a post on Facebook or a live video on Facebook, guys. It's about what you do every day. Meaning, you cannot tell me, and if I'm wrong, please tell me. But you cannot tell me as a white person, you have not seen racism. You cannot tell me you have not heard a white man say something negative about a black man, that you haven't seen injustice. I can tell you with my own two eyes, I have seen and heard things happen against and about Black people and that I know personally. And to deny that, to say that there's not a problem, it's just not true, right? So it's uncomfortable to talk about it, but it has to be talked about. And, I think it was Will Smith who said, listen, I love Will Smith and I will always love Will Smith and he's one of the most motivating people to me. So I'm sorry that that's who I'm quoting, but you could deal with it. But he said, it's not that these things are becoming more common, it's that they're being recorded now. And that's so sad. That's so sad. Matt was telling me about a Black man who was sitting at a dog park, and there's a video of this online that went viral, and this woman didn't have her dog on a leash, and he said, ma'am, you need to put your dog on a leash, it's the law. And she called the cops. The whole time he's recording this, she called the cops on him and was saying, this Black man is trying to attack me. Like the whole time. He went to Harvard, just a normal man who was just like, hey, you should put your dog on a leash. And she's freaking out, escalating the situation, telling the cops a Black man is attacking her. She ended up losing her job. The video went viral. A lot of bad things happened because of it. But here's what to me is sad about this. If that hadn't been recorded, there is such a bias subconsciously in so many of our minds that if she had called the cops, who knows what would have happened? If he could say, oh, well, I didn't do anything. But the unfortunate truth is that sometimes we listen to white people before we listen to Black people, and that's a problem. Guys, it's a problem. It's a problem that it's ingrained in a white woman's mind that she should be afraid of a Black man just because he's telling her to put her dog on a leash? That is somehow him attacking her? Guys, it's a systemic problem. It's not just something that came out of nowhere. It's something that's always been here that we haven't had to endure because we're white. And I want you to open your eyes to it because this has been something that I've been talking about and preaching about and trying to start discussions about since I was young, because I have seen this since I was young. I have my cousin in high school had girls calling her every week, my aunt who is white, who married a Black man, calling my aunt and telling her that she is an N-word lover every day of the week when my little cousin was in middle school. Her friends were calling my aunt and saying that. My aunt had to watch her son, who's Black, because she married a Black man, almost get killed by a cop. He was literally held down in the same exact situation, and she begged them not to kill him. And that happened when I was young, and I still remember it. And I will never stop fighting for the rights of all people, not just people who look like me, but I think it's so important that you guys, in the normal day-to-day situations where you hear a white person say some kind of passing comment, that's when you need to use your voice. It doesn't matter if you go live on Facebook, or you make this giant proclamation, none of it matters. What is social media anyway, right? But what matters is that when these little things happen, when you hear someone say something that is not okay, that doesn't sit right, that you say something then, that when your friend or let's say your daughter has a friend over and that kid says something racist, that you step in and you correct it right then. You say, no, that's not the way it works. We are exactly the same. Guys, I'm going to share something that I really haven't shared before in this capacity. I have posted about this before, but it's been several years. So I told you I helped start a gay straight alliance in my high school, right? Well, you might not know that the reason I helped start a gay straight alliance is because I'm what I like to call half gay. They called it bisexual, but I've never called it that. But my entire life, have always loved humans as humans. I'm married. I'm in a monogamous, committed relationship. The sad thing about and it's sad that I have to say that, the sad thing about my sexuality is that there's probably more judgment about that than any sexuality. I have had people who are gay tell me that that's not a real thing. Actually, I'm just a slut. Actually, I just want attention. So I don't share it with people because I have the privilege of hiding that that's a part of who I am, because I get to keep my mouth shut about it. But people with a different color of skin don't get to do that. They don't get to keep that quiet. And the fact that, can you imagine walking around and feeling afraid that the people that are supposed to protect you might hurt or kill you? Can you imagine? I absolutely hate all the things that have had to happen. But you know what? If you look back at history, there hasn't been one change that happened that didn't start with a riot or with some kind of violence. And I want you to really research and understand that the violence is actually coming from people who are racist, not from people who are just trying to exist in this world and not be judged for it and not be scared. And I want you to understand that you can never get what it feels like to be scared because of the color of your skin. You just can't unless you are black, unless you are a minority. You could never understand, but you can be quiet and listen, right? You can try and imagine. If you are a woman, you know that feeling you get if you have to walk somewhere alone at night? Imagine feeling like that all the time. Guys, you know, there are people who try and say that, and you know what, I have to say this too. I want you to understand and stop saying all lives matter, okay? Because the reason why there's a problem with saying all lives matter, and I want you to know that I'm guilty of it, because when I first saw Black Lives Matter, I was like, well, all lives matter. And then I was like, wait, that's a part of the problem. Because guys, the point is, all lives can't matter until Black Lives Matter. Do you get it? Do you get it? That would be like saying when someone says that women's rights matter, well, men's rights matter too. What? One group of people deserving to be treated as human beings does not negate the fact that all do. But if one group of people is being treated less lovingly than another, then we need to call attention to that. Then we need to fix it, right? We don't need to sugarcoat it and say, well, all lives matter. That doesn't fix the problem, guys. Talking about it and in just regular day-to-day life, trying to be the change and teach your children to understand that skin color doesn't matter, that sexuality doesn't matter, that gender doesn't matter, that's being a part of the solution. You know, I had a leader who was supposed to be a leader, right? I went to high school with, who said to me, and I'm not exaggerating, a white woman, and she was intoxicated at the time, and I said nothing. And I am ashamed that I didn't. She said, doesn't matter what the situation, she says, oh, of course he stole it. He's black. And I was drunk, but I had a visceral reaction. I was like, what? Whoa, that did not just come out of your mouth. And I didn't say anything then, and that's being a part of the problem. So I'm saying something now. And I will always stand up for what I believe is right, which is that all people deserve to be treated equal, period. And that if they aren't, then all of us need to be fighting until they are. Guys, the fact that we have these subconscious biases, it's something we have to look at and we have to disassemble, like bit by bit. And we have to have these uncomfortable conversations with our children and with our friggin' selves to make sure that we are aware if we have these subconscious biases, right? We need to make sure that we are caring about our opinions about these things. Guys, all of this has made me angry and sad and just so many feelings. But I hope that someone watches this and realizes, wow, maybe some of the things I've been saying aren't helpful. Maybe there are ways that I can show up and be better and try and be a part of the solution. You know, and here's the thing, by the way, about, you know, what I said about my sexuality earlier. I've always been someone who just loved people for people. That's just who I am. If someone is ugly in their character, they are ugly to me immediately. I don't care what someone looks like physically at all. If I, for whatever reason, find out you're not a good person, I am no longer interested in you as a human being. And it has nothing to do with the color of your skin, your sexuality, your identity, how much money you make, anything. Just if you're a good person or not. That's how I am and who I will always be. But it's sad to me that other people sometimes make these judgments about people and don't even realize where it's coming from. How many times I've heard white men say racist things, like my grandpa. How many times I've heard people in my own family compare being gay to having sex with animals. Knowing, by the way, that I'm half gay, because that's what I call it. I have seen the darkness in people, but do you want to know what else? I have seen the good in people. And I think the best thing we can do right now is have empathy for what everyone is feeling, and to love people and to speak out, even if it's just to our children, even if it's just having conversations with our friggin' self to try and understand or make sense of or be better, right? You don't have to post or go live on Facebook, and you shouldn't feel guilty if you haven't, but please stop posting things like all lives matter. Please stop posting things like, oh, Martin Luther King didn't cause riots, because yes, he did. And that's partially what helped to start a change, but we are far from where we need to be. And if we're not willing to look at that, how can we fix it? If you have a tumor in your body, but you won't go to the doctor, it's not going away. And we have a tumor in our country that we need to fix. And the only way to do that is through. The literal only way to come through or out of anything is to face the fear, talk about it, fix it, heal it. And you can't do that by not touching it or talking about it because it's uncomfortable. So this is my doing that, even though it's super uncomfortable. And even though I did not want to go live about any of this. But you know what? I had to, because I take this platform seriously. And if I lose friends or I get hate messages because of my sexuality or because of who I defend, good, remove yourself from my life, because you are not welcome into it and you are not open to change, and then you're not my people. But for you, all of you with an open heart who don't judge people, who love people, you are my people. And I hope that if you had these unconscious biases, you wake up to it a little bit and you realize, wow, I had no idea. Guys, I love you all so much, and I'm sorry for everything that's happening, because it's sad and it sucks. But I'm also happy, because the only way to change something is by addressing it, right? So I think that that's what people are doing. Anyway, my throat hurts from talking. I hope this is helpful, you guys. This was a very serious topic today, unlike my usual live videos. I didn't even say drop replay if you're watching the replay, but go for it. But I really do love you guys a lot, and I don't care who is offended by the fact that I will always stand up for what I believe is right. And I hope that you do too. Bye, guys.